Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Last week I appeared in a webinar hosted by Janice Taylor over at Reports Your Way. And I was invited to speak on kind of the learnings that I've picked up over the years about dashboard design and visualization best practices. Now, many of you know me from my work in Jet Reports, and others of you know me through my work in Domo. What's kind of cool though is that when it comes to how do I just clearly and efficiently communicate information, the platform that you're using almost doesn't matter. And so it was really cool to kind of see the knowledge that I picked up in all of these disparate places come together in one place. And here's that video. But I wanted to give you guys some thoughts to guide you as you're polishing up your dashboards, and then also some bullet point things that you can do to simplify your charts. If I had to give a dashboard a job, I would say the job of a dashboard is to be able to answer the question clearly and succinctly, am I okay? That's the dashboard's job. That's what you're supposed to do. Tell me, am I okay? And how do I know if I'm okay? Context. Context matters. And what is context? Context is like saying, what is the fact today, but what was it yesterday? Or what was it last week? Or what was it last month? I use the balance of my bank account as a perfect example. Today, my balance on my bank account is $5,000. Now, context matters. If yesterday the bank account was $150,000 and today it's $5,000, we're like, okay, we've got a problem. Or if I know that today my balance is 5,000 and tomorrow I've got some big, rent or some sort of expense coming up that's going to be like $12,000, okay, I've got a cash flow problem. Context matters. And really that's what our dashboards are there for. Give me facts, but also make it clear how they are related to each other so that I can answer the base question, am I okay? I grabbed this dashboard off of the internet. I don't even think it's necessarily an Excel dashboard per se, but what I really appreciated about this one is just how much context and how many opportunities are taking to demonstrate context. They're showing this metric last month versus current month, right? They're showing variance to the previous month. They're showing, in this case, percent change in the first reply time. All of these are opportunities to help me understand, am I doing okay? And most importantly, right, if we reach the conclusion, nope, we're not okay. Does your dashboard help you answer why you're not okay? In the consulting that I do, we have this concept of what's called a hero card. In your dashboard, you should have the one thing that your eye goes toward. Now, in the West, a lot of us read left to right, top, bottom. Usually we would make the argument your hero card should be in your top left corner, and then supporting all of your supporting facts and information for understanding why you are or are not okay should come, left to right, with the least important thing being in the bottom right. Some other tools that we have for supporting this idea of supporting metrics, right? We have drill paths and slicers. We have the ability to double click on something and we assume something happens, or Janice showed us how to implement slicers to apply filters to the thing. Those are all tools for helping us kind of understand what we're looking at. But guys, let's just take a moment here. Look at this visualization and what does your eye go to right away? For me, my eye goes here, which is in the middle. And we agree, people read left to right, top to bottom. So theoretically, I'm fighting this natural urge for my eye to start here. Then it tells me to go up. Then it tells me to go downish. Then it tells me reset to the left. But this is the smallest block. And then this section here is, we have a flow problem. And one of the things that Janice always makes me do when we're working together on a dashboard is she's like, Jay, we need to map this out. Just draw it on a piece of paper. What's it going to look like? Give me a high level idea. Because as you saw with Janice's work, right, she has some really cool tricks for making a really nice interactive dashboard. But if you spend a lot of times on tricks, but you don't focus on good flow, what you might develop is something that is ultimately, I'm not going to say not usable, but maybe for the first time user, it's a little bit off-putting, or it's one of those things that leads to something feeling daunting when I look at it the first time. So we talked about a dashboard needing to provide context. We talked about hero cards and flow. I want to talk about audience. One of the biggest struggles that I see people have as they build their dashboard is they don't think about their audience, or they assume like there's this monolithic audience, everybody's the same. And that's just not true. Think about sales and profitability, right? If I'm a sales manager, I'm managing my sales team. What do I care about? I care about like, who are my top customers? Who are my bottom customers? What are my top performing products? What are my bottom performing products, right? That side of the coin. But if I'm interested in profitability, ooh, that's a way more interesting question. I was working with a client and they're like, look, we want to increase our profitability by cutting down on our shipping costs because hashtag Brexit. Okay, how do I cut down on shipping costs? I want to make sure that I have less volume, but bigger shopping carts. In other words, I want each customer, they want one order per customer per month, but huge shopping cart instead of 5 small ones. Okay, what do we have to do to get that? Different set of questions, different set of supporting information than my sales oriented guy. Or for those of you who are using something like Nav or GP, right? We are really great at reporting sales, but if I want to understand why my sales are the way they are, I need to go upstream before the order was even placed. Let's talk about abandoned shopping carts. You guys have all shopped on Amazon, right? There's at some point we're just like, dang it, I can't find what I'm looking for, I'm out. Or we've been to that website that loads too slowly and it's taking too long to load, I'm going to go someplace else, right? Those are different kinds of metrics that might impact when people choose not to close their shopping cart, or like, I can't pay on PayPal, I'm too lazy to type in my credit card number. That's the leading reason why I don't close a shopping cart, I'm not going to lie. So, right, different kinds of metrics for different kinds of personas. Okay, we talked about dashboard design, talked about dashboard flow, we talked about understanding your audience. Let's talk about just having good cards. I have a theory. This is not my theory, this is somebody else's theory. Data looks better naked. Another way of phrasing that is to say you want to maximize your data ink ratio. What is the least amount of ink that I need to use to communicate what I want to tell you? And I love this series of 4 charts, right? They're all the same thing, same information, but as you go from left to right and top to bottom, look at what they took away. We remember the 90s and 90s and early noughties, right? Those like over the top Excel with all of the gradients in the background and the 3D effects. Okay, let's get rid of that. I love Janice's focus on getting rid of the borders. Okay, let's get rid of the 3D effects and simplify the colors and remove the bold. And this is my favorite version of the pie chart. It's not a pie chart. I have a strong dislike of pie charts, but it's not just me. This is cognitive and behavioral science. If you look at the angle between this one and that one, right, between 12 and 14%, it's relatively difficult to gauge which one's greater or less. Whereas if I show you 2 lines side by side, you can instantaneously, without a doubt in your mind, see the difference, which one's longer and which one's shorter. And so for that reason, anytime I see a pie chart, I just like, ugh, you should have used a bar graph. But that's not me. I try to take all of this stuff that I have an opinion about and back it up by behavioral studies. Stephen Few and Edward Tufte. Edward Tufte, I want to say, was most prolific kind of in the 70s and 80s. Stephen Few is still writing books today about data visualization. These charts were taken from Dark Horse Analytics. They did a series called Data Looks Better Naked. They did one about tables, they did one about pie charts, and the last one is about line charts, or bar charts, sorry. And in each of them, they kind of take the design practices that Stephen Few is a proponent of based off of his study of Edward Tufte, and they just say this is why certain visualizations work better than others. And so I really strongly, if you're bored one day and you're just like, what was that Jay Wilson guy talking about? Here's something for you to look up. All right, I'm gonna rattle off some quick tips and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Keep it simple. When in doubt, keep it simple. Janice talked about labeling your axis, or use a good title. A lot of times your title should tell you what your axis is. And if it does that, there's no reason to have both, right? Because that's just wasted ink. So have a good axis or a good title, and if it's necessary, have both. Use fewer colors unless they communicate information. I'm a betting man. I'll bet that these guys are from Seattle. As you know, everyone in Seattle is crazy about bacon. But what I really like about this is their use of color tells me what they want me to know. Whereas here, the use of color is overwhelming. There's no other way to describe it. So be very deliberate in your use of color in your visualizations. And the same for bold, right? We see it. It doesn't necessarily have to be bold all the time. Those of you who were like watching all the news as COVID facts were coming out, right? Numbers and spikes and whatever. I love this. Same information, but I changed the axis from going between 0 and 140 versus 110 to 122. One is not dramatic, and the other one is super drama. When you are looking in the news and you're looking at charts that CNN flashes on the page, or as you're building your own visualizations, be cognizant of what your axes min and max are, because they will obviously have an impact on how people interpret your data, which, you know, is intentional, right? We're trying to tell a story here. Okay. Be careful about putting your data on two axes. I love the, like, I can do total sales on one side, percent change on the other. For me, if I have two axes, like a primary and a secondary axis, it takes always a minimum an extra 7 minutes for me to understand what am I supposed to be learning from this chart. So use it sparingly. Less is more. Decimals are distracting. Janice, your favorite trick today was like that 1 million number formatting. That was my favorite thing today. Because let's be honest, after you get to $1 million in sales, 50 cents, nobody cares about the 50p except accountants. We already automatically line everything, all of our numbers to the right, all of our text to the left. And also, one of my favorite piece of advice for simple data, just use a number. You don't have to use a pie chart or a graph. I want to circle back to this visualization one last time before I end up my section. If you count, there's actually truly only 1, 2, 3 charts. Everything else is either a table or an individual number. And I think that's super powerful to think about as you're designing your dashboards. I don't think there's a more powerful way to communicate. Our signups in the past 30 days was 9,120, which is up 921 from the previous month. Like, that is so succinct. And it gives me the information. I love it's formatted green. It gives me the information that I need to see. Boom. That's the fact of interest. Or the same thing over here, right? Super condensed. I don't need a chart. I don't need a table that has this month, last month. It's just the number. And that's definitely something that you can do in Excel, right? Using cell references or a function of some sort. Okay, that's me. I just wanted to kind of wrap it up by saying, throwing some ideas at you guys about how you can polish up your dashboard. Think about flow, think about your audience, try to get into the heads of what question are they going to ask, what follow-up information do they need to get there? And then lastly, how much ink can you take away from your chart and still communicate everything that you need to communicate? So that was that. If you like what you saw, please like the video and subscribe so that it kind of gets shared with the greater world and whatnot. It's good for the channel. But also, it will let me know that you're interested in this type of content. Janice and I are planning to put on more sessions like this, where we do a blend of like teach you how to do something with like theory and concepts that kind of back it up and help make you be more successful in this space. So if you loved it, let me know, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks, bye.